What happened?
It all fell apart. To send a flesh wound. Gotta take care of your stuff, folks. This guitar, apparently, if I'm remembering correctly from what the former owner told me, has been around since the 60s. It's got 12 strings. Well, 11 actually. So this one broke, and I don't have a pair of pliers or anything handy to replace them, even though I do have a new set of strings. And that's why I haven't touched it in a while, which is why it's dust covered. But then I picked it up because I just had an impulse to strum. So, and I just love that 12-string sound, even though I don't know any particular technique specific to the 12-string. I bought this a long time ago, and it's just spectacular fun. Concerned, you still haven't learned that time it passes quickly. Death's not at the door, yeah, but oh, to be so sure, it's a poor excuse to spend your time. So tired, so sickly, so get up, come quickly. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ding, ding, ding. Have you rang? Have you rung? Are you fucking high strung with a fuck off? Cheap fucks. You know, it's really weird to me how the vocabulary is very spicy nowadays, but so nondescript. It almost feels unnatural to say several sentences in succession without interspersing it with the Osbournes style dialogue there. That's, you know, when Ozzy Osbourne had a show about his family, like a sitcom, which was fantastic. I'm old. Yes. So, communication. You know, my site, the Fractal Journal, right here, at https://fractaljournal.com. It, has a section called Communication is Discipline, which I was going to take and make into some kind of pedantic, autistic level focus on the various ways that we communicate, how politicians communicate versus how business people communicate, etc., all that kind of sociological, psychological mumbo jumbo, but done by a layman with a lot of free time. Yeah, I might still do that. Although I feel like I need to take a more natural approach to things, because the more I try to format things in a specific way, the less things get done. I find that if I just open up a blank page or open up my webcam here, things just happen. They happen, and there's always the really strong urge to whittle them down, make them better or give them more premeditation, and probably as I go along, that'll just come naturally. But as of now, I need to go ahead and do it, and that's the focus of today's quickie vlog, is just do it. Here's kind of like several models, I guess you could call them, of life, things that I've intuited from how you were supposed to do stuff, and then kind of how I figured it out from mixing and matching those parts. So basically, as somebody in a first world Western nation, obviously you go to school, high school, college, you get a job, and that job you work up to the ranks, you make your money, and you retire, right? Okay, great. And your contribution to society, what gives life meaning, I suppose, is something along the lines of, doing something productive that takes a skill, providing for your family, having a family, with children preferably, etc., which is all, like, that's totally fine, legitimate as a way of life. But it's kind of a bare bones model. While it's obviously natural and good to seek those things out, first of all, obviously, you don't really have to. There's a lot of hippies that will tell you all of the various hip and jive ways. Jive? What in the hell? Anyway, ways that you can go about doing that. But what I've found severely lacking is kind of appreciation of art for art's sake. It's always, in the end, you have to be like an entrepreneur about your art. You can't just make art nowadays. Like, everything has to be justified through the lens of commerce or success. And it's... Let me think of how this really all plays out. Yeah, so basically we have these people sequestered over that are like established artists or voices, and they're supposed to be like, oh, well, you can't be Smashing Pumpkins guy because you're not, and blah. Okay. But the Smashing Pumpkins guy at one point was being told the exact same thing. And to me, I don't even understand why you have to gain some kind of like fame or recognition for doing art. I think that people would be helped by getting together into little groups. Like back a long time ago, there used to be parlors and things where people would get together and play music in like a parlor, hence parlor music, etc. And take that approach and just spark each other's creativity, because once you get off of work, you don't always want to default to the television or, watching YouTube clips or things of that nature. And you don't always just feel like reading a book. So get together, like form a storytelling club, or, go off and write stories and share them with each other. And you'll build your writing skills that way, or whatever medium you decide to choose, whether it be music or etc. It doesn't necessarily have to be this super focused thing. Maybe something focused will come out of it. But the enjoyment of life is lost when we try to seek for a very narrow and specific method of, I have this job, and this job is what I do, and it puts food on the table, and I'll progress through that, and okay, fine. But, after you get off work, unless you're one of these people in these positions that I don't even know why people have them, because I think it makes them worse in their positions where they have to work so much all the time. Like, I don't want a doctor that is on call so much that he can barely function and he only has time to, like, 15 minutes to allot per patient, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But people are always talking about, well, in today's society, everyone's buried in their cell phones and they're so empty and boring. And yeah, well, because there's no, like, impetus for them to do anything else. Societally, it's like nobody supports any kind of, like, it's not natural to sit down with a group of friends and start making up stories or, playing music together in any really serious way a lot of times, because all these little conflicts pop up and then everybody's ego gets in the way, and that all needs to be overcome. It really does. Because the thing that will give, meaning and context to your life will come from engaging with life more fully. And art and music and writing developed for a reason, and that's because that's an expression of the experience of being human, and we need to develop that further rather than, always consuming art through only a few specific mediums. It's totally fine to do that. I do it all the time. I think it's friggin' great. It's just that you don't want to be bogged down in one little narrow avenue. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people that complain about people being buried in their phones, and I really do hate that. But my thing is, like, I don't really get bothered by it as long as people aren't on the street bumping into lampposts. Or, here's what the only thing that really bothers me about it is, like, if we're a group of friends and we're over at somebody's house and we're all chilling out, or we're watching something on the stupid TV, I don't want to sit there and, like, be second fiddle to a dang, like, some conversation or some meme you're looking up. It's like, am I not interesting enough for you? If you're showing me something on your phone, that's fine. But then again, come on. I mean, yeah. So your ability to show me something on your phone is great. We can enhance your conversation like that. But if you're just sitting there texting or whatever, if I'm too boring for you, screw off. Like, I'm not that lonely. I'll find something else to do, and I'll probably find somebody else to do it with. We just it's all these little things. And I know this is super rambly, and it's a lot less coherent than I wanted it to be, but it is vlog. It is vlog. That's what I'm going to call it. It is vlog, and it is content. And thanks for joining me today. Check out my website, https://fractaljournal.com. And I'm also on DTube now, which I'll provide a link in the description below. I'd love to move away from YouTube entirely, just because I'm a reactionary weirdo. But yeah, we all know the host of problems with Google and Facebook, especially now that it's actually in the news, even though us weirdos have been pointing it out for the longest time. Here it is in your face, so deal with it. Cheers.